We are back, another episode of Chef's Kiss. We're back with my man, Big City, Matt Adams. What's good, dude?
What's going on, Sheff?
Bro, I'm so happy to have you. It's a beautiful day. We got day baseball, lot to talk about. How's your morning been so far? Good?
It's going great. Yeah, I just want being a baseball fan, watching the rundown on MLB Network, like you said, like there's some day baseball today, so it's always a great start to the day when you're looking forward to those day baseball games and whatnot. So other than the rainy day that we got going on in St. Louis, it's my Wednesday's great. How about yours?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like I said, it's 80 degrees. We got day baseball. Were you at an event in St. Louis recently? I saw you take a
Yeah,
picture. Was that a new picture?
yeah. So I did. You talking about the one with the big city jersey?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So KMOX, like one of the local stations, they had their live show, like recording at the Rally House here in St. Louis. So I did that Wednesday before opening day.
Oh,
Just
nice.
jumped on there, like it's called the Gas House Gang podcast with Tom Ackerman and the crew at KMOX. Jumped on that at the Rally House. They gifted me that special big city home Cardinals jersey for
Yeah.
showing up. So yeah, it was it was a great event. A lot of people came out and supported it and whatnot. Took some pictures with fans. So it was great.
Yeah, Matt, how is it when you're walking around that stadium? Is there anything like that stands out that people like consistently ask you or talk to you about? Obviously, they want to get pictures and stuff with you, but is there like some like memory that a lot of fans have that you kind of picked up on?
Yeah, it's. I mean, for myself, it's and the fans here especially. It's the homer off Kershaw in
Hmm.
the 2014 playoffs. That's my wife and I would be walking our dogs in our little neighborhood. We'll get stopped every day. Want people want to like talk whether it's November, December, or it's baseball season creeping in and getting ready to kick off. The fan base here in St. Louis is awesome, and that's one of the major memories that a lot of people hold close to their hearts and they want to talk about and they're great about it. They approach me great, like they don't take too much time. They just want to share the memory where they were, what they were doing that specific moment, and it's awesome for me to be able to relive that and cool that I was able to share that memory with all those fans.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of like, I was with my Nona and this was her last, whatever, last games we got to watch together. So I just imagine you've heard so many stories and how like, yeah, that moment has affected that fan base. But like you said, like, yeah, reliving that, it's got to be like so cool. Be like, damn, like that means so much to a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. And like what a lot of people don't realize is like that's the video of that homer that I would like replay if I felt like I was like, whenever I was still playing, if I was going in a slump or feeling like I wasn't right, like that was the video that I pulled up constantly, rewatched it. Just I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. But like it took me back to that time where, everything was right. The swing was right, it was perfect, rounding the bases, 50,000 plus fans cheering me on. The Wits are front row after I touch home plate. They're waving the white rally towels. It's a video that I watch constantly, year in, year out.
Sometimes you just need a reminder of who you are, right? This is who I am. This
For
is
sure.
what I do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Get that confidence level back a little bit and walking around like big city.
Yeah, exactly. I say, like motivation is like hygiene. You should use it every day, right? You got to find some kind of motivation to kind of get you going because it's, like I said, like hygiene. You got to do it every day. You're not going to be motivated. So, yeah, it's good to have those reminders. I got to hit a home run so I can replay that back when I'm feeling down, you know? Um, Matt, the big topic around baseball has been the ABS system, implemented this year, and it has been the focal point of so many games. CB Buckner is getting embarrassed by 44,000 people. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about ABS so far this season. Obviously, the umpires' strike zone are being consistently questioned. My thought on the ABS system: I love the human element of baseball. I love that baseball is judged by a human, but that has gotten so far and unchecked over the years, the umpires union, there's been no checks and balances. So there had to be a course correct. There had to be, because it got so just the opposite way of how it should win. You're questioning these calls. You're gone now. Players are getting ejected. Managers. So there had to be a course correction. But it's around like 50% now. 50% of these calls are getting overturned. They're being challenged, and roughly about 50% are overturned. So my whole thing was, I just want better umpires. And I know it's not an easy job, calling 98 miles an hour on the paint. It's not easy, but I don't think you need a 62-year-old man with 62-year-old eyes calling those. Get younger umpires, better umpires, whatever. So now we have ABS system. What are your thoughts on how it's been so far this season? The effect on the game? Do you like it? Do you don't like it?
No, I'm with you. Like, first and foremost, I think there needs to be umpires in the game of baseball. I like, to your point, myself included. I love the human element. I think that's what makes baseball so cool, is the human element of the game. But to your point, there was no accountability for these umpires up until now with the ABS. So I think them, working the kinks out last year in spring training and then rolling it out full time this year, during the regular season, I think it's been great. Already with only 5 games into the season, you're seeing some pivotal moments in games being swayed one way or another with the ABS. Guy gets rung up, bases loaded, 2 outs, in a big time spot to put his team ahead, and that umpire calls a strike three, and then he challenges it. Now it's a walk with a run. I think the way they did it, the way they went about it, was great. And to your point, I think some of these umpires are really getting a gut check of, hey, I got to lock it in a little bit better. I got to be better. But I like it. I think it's going to be huge. I think, take the at bat with Suarez in Cincinnati, for instance. Back-to-back calls, he got rung up on borderline pitches that were balls, and that's a veteran guy that understands the strike zone. Challenged it back-to-back, and ended up working out for him. But to that point, I think there's teams that are out there that went into spring training practicing for it, trying to get better at it. They're catchers for sure, but they're hitters. It's going to really allow them to fully understand what their strike zone is. And, I think it's going to come into play in some big time moments, especially in the postseason.
Yeah. The one thing that I liked about baseball and umpires was, like, the ump had his own zone, right? Which I thought is fine. We've kind of condensed it now to a very specific box, and that's the box. And as you know, as a player, like, umps sometimes, hey, we're getting that outside pitch. We know he's giving that outside pitch. So that's a part of the game you have to adjust. That's kind of gone out, right? Framing for catchers. I don't know what your thoughts on this, but I'm not saying it's like a lost art now, but it's less, I guess, effective once, like, if you still have those challenges. Once the challenges are gone, like, yes, framing is important, because I watched like the game yesterday with the Phillies. The Nationals used up their challenges. They lost 2 of them, so they couldn't challenge anymore, like, after the 6th or 7th inning. So framing does become important. The one thing, like, when I'm talking about, like, the zone and every ump having a zone, it's the only thing I kind of stinks is, like, when an ump calls a ball and then they challenge it, and there's like one stitch that just nicks that little corner, and you're like, bro, I mean, like, that was a good call. I mean, it was a call, but one little stitch, it says 0.1 centimeters or inches or whatever, and it nicks it, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe there's got to be some leeway or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the point of it that sucks. Is like, if basically 95% of the baseball is out of the zone, but like you're saying, that one little thread, that one little stitch nicks the corner, it's going to be upheld, and it's going to be called a strike. But like, to your point, I think the main thing that I don't like is, it takes the human element from the catcher's relationship to the umpire out of the game, because there were so many, like when I was playing, like, and we had no ABS, there were so many times that, like, it mattered. Like, if Yachty had a good relationship with the umpire, like, he's back there smoozing him, talking to him, letting him know, hey, like, this is what my pitcher's got tonight. Like, this pitch is really on. Like, just hang with it. Don't give up on it too early. Like, stuff like that. Those little, like, in-game conversations between the catcher and the umpire, like, those go by the wayside now. And, like, like a part of the game that, like, I loved as a player. Like, if a catcher was not great at, like, building a relationship and a rapport with the home plate umpire, like that reputation kind of like the umpire's not going to be as confident to give him a borderline call, or a pitcher relationship with the umpire. If it's a veteran guy like Scherzer, DeGrom, those kind of guys, they're back in the day, like, those guys were getting the borderline calls and maybe even getting an inch off the plate, inside or outside, top to bottom. So that's the part that stinks. Like, for me as a former player, like, I love those human, like, relationships that, like, the catchers would develop, the pitchers would develop with, and even as a batter, like, you have a good relationship with an umpire, you may get a call like that may be borderline if that umpire doesn't like that pitcher that's out on the mound that day. So that's the only really part that I'm not a fan of.
Like Joey Votto, right? Umpires would give Votto the benefit of the doubt. If he thought that was a ball and he's walking on first, they're like, all right, Votto's got an eye. Like, he knows.
Yep.
Like, so, like, the nuances, like you said, those little nuances of the game are pretty much thrown to the wayside because we're following. It's black and white now, and that's what I love about baseball. It's not necessarily black and white. There are different parameters for different umpires, for catchers, for pitchers. And like you said, same thing with pitchers. It's a veteran pitcher. It's going to get the paint. It's going to get a little bit more leeway out there. And now we don't have that. So it's funny to see these umpires. I don't feel bad for them because like I said, I thought I got a little bit way too far, but like they're getting roused by the entire stadium because it's on the biggest screen in the stadium and everyone's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to make. I mean, I'm sure they are speaking amongst themselves about like how bad this makes us look.
100% it is, but to the fans' perspective though, the fans gotta love it because every fan, whether you're watching the game at home or you're at the stadium, like at the game live, you want to be the umpire.
Right.
You think you're an umpire. And like, so like it's almost like it kind of locks the fan base in a little bit better, knowing that like, oh, here comes a challenge. Was I right? Was I wrong? Like what, like how good can I stack up against like the major league umpire? Like, so I think that element is cool, but like, to your point, it's like those umpires got to be going back after the game and being like, dang, like I really missed some bad calls tonight. Like I got to lock it in a little bit better.
And everybody knows it. Before it was like a Twitter account or an Instagram account called like Umpire Auditor. I would follow them and they would give like an audit after the game. But I mean, how many people are actually going to go and look at that and see how well they did? Now it's on full display. Like you're getting ringed out like in front of everybody. So yeah, I'm curious do you think there'll be any adjustments to it as we continue over the course of, obviously not this season, but as we move forward with ABS?
I like, to be honest with you, I kind of like what they got right now. Like, I think like the only thing I could see them doing is maybe, like if you're out of challenges and the game goes into extras, like maybe you get a challenge back, like something like along those lines, or maybe they bring the 3 challenge. Cause like in 23, whenever I was in AAA, like we had, when they rolled it out for the first time in AAA, each team got 3 challenges. So like, like, I don't know, like, I liked it too, like, because then, like, what we were talking about, the human element does come back into play. If you're not good at challenging, you burn them up quick early on in the game, then you have no reason to, like, be upset. Like, you kind of did it to yourself. The human element's back in play, framing's back in play. I kind of like the way it is right now. Like, I want to see, what everybody says, like, what the players, the coaching staffs, the league has to say at the end of a full season. running it out there, seeing how it goes. But I think the first week of the season, I think it's working pretty solid.
Yeah, I think they like the two challenges because they do want to keep the game moving.
Yep.
And they're calling in the challenges very quickly. It's up on the board, and we got an answer within like 8 seconds, which is great. So they're keeping it moving. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes moving forward. Matt, as a former player, I wanted to talk to you about this because obviously here in Philly, people aren't rational. They love to jump and complain and argue about teams getting slow starts, right? So there's overreactions. We're barely a week into the season. Today's April 1st, so it's a very new season still. But I wanted to ask you, as a former player, is there a time when a team or players not necessarily start to panic, but maybe look at like, hey, what I'm doing, I need to start making adjustments. We saw yesterday, Kyle Schwarber was taking ground balls at first base, and everyone's starting to chat. Well, why is he taking grounders? What's going on? Is Bryce Harper blah blah blah? My thought is he's not hitting well. Rob Thompson's like, hey, go take some grounders. I don't want you in the outfield, but get the body moving. Like, we got to switch something up. We got to get juices flowing, whatever it is. That's what I thought without jumping to like, oh, he's going to play first. So you tell me, like, have you gotten out to a slow start, your team? And is there a point maybe at the end of April or whenever that is where it's like, hey guys, we got to switch something up. Like this isn't working.
Yeah, I like for like my own like kind of checklist. Like I would give myself, if I was an everyday player, um, I would give myself about 100 ABs because I knew that over the course of a regular season, I was getting, if I was playing every day, I was getting 700 ABs. So like I could afford like to like give myself 100 ABs and then recheck. Obviously, you're checking things out on a day-to-day basis, whether you had a good game, whether you had a bad game, you're going off feeling. So you are kind of checking in with yourself on a day-to-day basis. But I never really like to like push the panic button. Like if I'm pushing the panic button, I'm not in the right headspace. Like I'm not where I need to be, showing up to the field, showing up to work. But I would give myself, as an offensive player, I'd give myself about 100 ABs, and then I would really kind of, watch some video if things weren't going right, and then I would go to my the hitting coaches and be like, hey, what do you see in these, first 100 ABs? What are some adjustments that you think like we can make that would get me back to like being like myself? Like those are kind of the conversations that I like to have. 100 ABs in if I was an everyday player. Team wise, like I think you give yourself a month. Like it's too early. Like the fans that are freaking out 5 games into the regular season, like there's still 157 more games left in the regular season. So like pump the brakes a little bit, like starting to panic 5 games in. Like I understand, like Philly was like one of my favorite places to play. Like I love like the energy that those like fans bring on a day-to-day basis. But like you get like those guys like pitchers are so far ahead than hitters, even when the regular season starts. So like I still feel like the batters and whatnot are still trying to play catch up to the pitchers in these first couple of weeks. So that's why I like kind of a month period, kind of checking in, reevaluating things, and seeing what direction the team needs to go. So that like I would say as a hitter, as a team, I would give myself about a month, and then I would kind of circle back and see how things are going.
Also, with the World Baseball Classic, hitters, pitchers aren't getting in their normal work like a normal spring, right? So they're traveling to other countries or whatever. They're not getting the same at bats. So that was something that someone brought up as well, saying like, well, with the World Baseball Classic, they didn't have a normal spring. They had a very different spring than everyone else. So Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, around here, everyone's like, well, they didn't have a normal spring. Like they still are ramping up as well as the pitchers. So there's always this adage that says you can't win the division in April, but you can lose the division in April. as a former player, how much stock do you put into that about the month of April? Because we just talked about, you said 100 ABs before you're starting to kind of make adjustments or worrying about, production. And as a team, maybe like team mentality, clubhouse chatter in the month of April, and how important the first month is.
Yeah, I always go back to the 19 team with the Nationals when we won the World Series. If we would have pushed the panic button or thought that the season was over in April, we never would have been the last day of the season standing tall in Houston holding that trophy up, because we started 19-32 the first 51 games. So we were about a month and a half in to the season, and we were one of the worst teams in baseball. But we didn't push the panic button. We didn't think the season was over. We changed up our mentality a little bit. Got a couple key pieces over there in the clubhouse that kind of changed things up, and we hit the ground running with that new club, the new clubhouse, the new team, and so I don't think that's necessarily true. Like where like you could lose the division in April, like yeah, like maybe you're not winning the division if you have a terrible April, but like that's why there's a wild card spot, like for teams and play. Like it's all about getting hot at the right time. And I understand that the goal is to go out there and win the division, go deep into the playoffs, and eventually win the World Series. But like there's a lot of different paths now with how many teams make the playoffs, that like even if your team doesn't win the division, your team could still get hot at the right time and steamroll through the playoffs. So I would urge the fans and the fan bases not to push the panic button, especially 5 games into the season. But even at the end of April, if your team's like kind of not clicking on all cylinders, still a lot of ball left to play.
Yeah, and a lot of, I mean, you tell me, I know some players, pitchers, Aaron Nola, like Aaron Nola, he's a Louisiana boy. He pitches best when it's like over 75 degrees. So I know June, July, August, we're going to get a good Aaron Nola. I mean, it's nice out today, but yeah, April, there's a lot of cold, rainy days, and those guys aren't going to be loose. They're not going to be playing the best that they can. When you get to the dog days of summer, it's like everybody's loose and we're in a groove now. So I think that plays a role in it as well, you would say, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because especially like if you're like, from the South or out West where you're used to like warm weather and you're on an East Coast team, end of March, beginning of April is a coin flip of what the weather, it could be 80 degrees in Philly today, and you could be having snow showers tomorrow.
Right.
Like same way in the Midwest here in St. Louis. Like it could be, we had days last week, 2 weeks ago, where it was 90 degrees and sunshine, and then the next day, we were having ice warnings,
Yeah.
waking up every morning. So like it is tough, like to get your body going on a cold, like rainy, damp day. Like when the season's in full force, like you said, dog days of summer, middle of summer, you're waking up, you're feeling great from the get go, and you're rolling into that stadium ready for the full work day ahead. But the guy, like they're pros. They know like even if it's cold and rainy outside, they know what their body needs to get going, and they're good at making those adjustments.
Yeah. One of the coolest things and one of my favorite things, Matt, is MLB debuts. So yesterday, Andrew Painter, the highly touted
Gas.
prospect for the, yeah, gas, touch it,
Nah.
98.7, but a nasty change, a nasty curveball. He used his slider. He used like 3 or 4. He's got a 4 pitch mix. 3 of them he used for like to get swinging third strikes. 9 swing and misses. He was awesome. And then you get to see, and that's awesome. A highly touted prospect performs. He lives up to the expectation. And then you get to see, the camera's always panning to the families and the girlfriend, and they're cheering. And like Chase DeLauder. Chase DeLauder had his first opening day, and he was been on fire. Yesterday, Jose Soriano with the Diamondbacks, his first MLB appearance, he hit 2 home runs in a game. So like it's just so cool when you see these MLB debuts and they like exceed all expectations. I wanted to ask you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your debut and maybe some things that you remembered that stuck out, some things that you'll always remember from your debut.
Yeah, first and foremost, I got pulled from a game. We were in Vegas, who was the AAA for the Mets at the time, back in 2012. I just scored from second base. Came into the dugout. Third out was ended up recording. I'm grabbing my first base glove. I'm running out on the field, and I don't even make it to the pitcher's mound, and my manager's screaming at me to like, yeah, you're out of the game. And I'm like, I'm trying to replay in my head, like, did I
What I
mess
do?
up? Like, I didn't get thrown out at home. I know that I didn't run through a stop sign. Like, so I'm just trying to like figure out what's going on. And then it clicked. I was like, well, I either got traded because like at this point, like I was hitting over 320 with power. So I know that I wasn't getting sent back down to double A. Like I knew that I was either going to the big leagues to make my debut or I was getting traded to another team. Come in, kind of gives me the spiel. He's like, hey, go pack your bags, call your family. You're on the first flight out tomorrow to LA to meet the big league club. So like making that phone call, and my parents are watching the game. So like when they see my number come,
Yeah.
they're thinking that I got injured or I got ejected because
Hmm.
I'm a super competitor. Like I kind of get hot at some umpires.
Mom, I punched
Going back to the
somebody.
team that I wanted to,
Yeah.
yeah. um, but yeah, I called them. They were like, "What are you doing out of the game?" I said, "Well, I'm, dreams come true. I'm flying to LA first thing in the morning, make my debut." Mom and dad start crying. I start crying. And then I pack my bag and I'm at the airport at 3 a.m. Sunday night baseball in LA. So like I know that like the game's not till 5 p.m. and I'm at the airport at 3 a.m. to catch a flight to LA. My agent at the time picks me up, kind of takes me to his house. I have breakfast with him. Both my agents are there, kind of like they know that I'm nervous. They're kind of like talking me off the ledge. Uh, my one guy takes me in, drives me into the stadium. They're from LA, so like it worked out great. They picked me up from the airport, took me to their house, and then they drove me in to the stadium. Kind of showed me where I needed to go in at. So that move right there. Once I landed in LA, I knew that I had people that had been around, the game this kind of way that could kind of help me, kind of help ease the tension, the nerves. And then I walk into the clubhouse and I see, you know, Wainwright's jersey, Molina's jersey, Skip Schumacher's jersey, John Jay Freed, all these guys that like I grew up like I've watched on TV, and I'm like, well, now I'm here. Like now I get to be teammates with them. Then it all kind of hit, and then um, we weren't really sure if I was going to be activated for that game, and then on the drive in, they called me and said, hey, yeah, you're activated. You're batting seventh. I think I was batting seventh. Sunday night baseball in Dodger Stadium. So I was like, then the nerves, my agents did a good job calming me down, and then like the nerves went through the roof again. So like
Lack of
those
sleep
are,
too.
yeah, I mean those are the moments where like and then first inning I get a double play ball from Kyle Loesch. Get the out, kind of. Then the nerves kind of calm down a little bit. And then and then I'm up that very next half inning. I was like, I'm not wasting any time. I'm going after the first strike I see. Is fastball down the middle from, I think it was Chad Billingsley. Not line drive to center field. And then I was like, okay, now I can just, all the nerves are gone. Like now I can just go play the game that I've been playing my whole life. And the rest is history.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's just always fun to see those happening in real time, especially at the beginning of the season. The families involved because it's a culmination of years and years of sacrifice and hard work and dedication to your craft and the sport that you dedicate your life to. And yeah, at that moment, it's like this paid off. Because baseball is very different than NFL, NBA, where you're a college kid, you get drafted. Next year, you're on the team. Like I'm playing,
Exactly.
I'm playing with the big boys. I just got drafted. I'll be with the team. Baseball is different levels to it, man. Like you get drafted, then you got to prove yourself in the minors, and then you got to wait for either a spot to open or whatever to bring you up. So yeah, the road to the show is so different than other sports. But that's awesome. Do you have any like You obviously got your first hit. You got your first ball.
Yeah, got the
Yeah.
got the ball, got the jersey. I believe I had the bat authenticated in like my memorabilia room. Uh, got like my first big league homer ball. Like it, like I made sure that like those are the things that I'm not letting go of. Like not a lot of people get to do that and whatnot. So like I want to be able to make sure that I have those memories where, you know, I can pass them down, give them to family, friends, whatever. Just be able to share those moments, relive those moments again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been have you been watching either the Nationals or the Cardinals? I was just going to ask you about some impressive young kids. First one with the Cardinals is JJ Weatherholt. He's been very impressive with the Cardinals thus far this season. Again, young kid. And then Joey Weimer with the Nationals. He was on base like 10 out of 10 plate appearances. He's been playing like his hair's on fire. So just obviously talking to you, I wanted to see if you've kind of been following those teams or those players and like your thoughts on them.
Yeah, for sure. I've been watching more Cardinals than I have Nationals, but definitely been staying up with Joey and the streak that he's on right now. Very cool to see him get the opportunity and him take it full advantage of that. Honestly, I kind of like the Nationals squad.
Hmm.
I think that they went into Wrigley, took 2 out of 3 from Wrigley, came in, had a really good game against their first game against the Phillies. I think it was they put up 13 runs. I think they got shut out last night.
3-2.
Okay,
Yeah.
so another close game. They're playing good baseball. But yeah, that's a club, especially with the new young manager. It seems like everybody enjoys playing for him. They got them. That staff's got those kids prepared to go out there night in and night out and perform at a very high level. You're seeing some of the younger guys that have been there a few years kind of step into leadership roles. Not that the staff is putting those leadership roles on them. They're just kind of being themselves and taking full advantage of leading by example, speaking up when they see stuff. So I think that's a solid squad over there in Washington, and the fans should be super excited about it. As well with the Cardinals, I think they had a great opening series against the Rays. They lost a tough one against the Mets, and then they come back last night, 3-0 shutout. JJ another 2-knock night. Urias hit a homer. I think this club in St. Louis is going to surprise some people, but the way that JJ is carrying himself, I think he's going to be in that National League Rookie of the Year talk all season long. I
Okay.
think I think you heard Hein Bloom talk about it in their exhibition when they played the Double A squad in Springfield. The way that he showed up in spring training day in and day out, the way he carried himself like a big league veteran. He gets it. He knows what he has to do to prepare for the pitcher that he's facing that night. He's very in tune with his defense. Solid second baseman. I think and now there's rumors out there that they're trying to lock him into an extension. So I think with the Cardinals, they're not quick to just hand out long-term extensions to young players. So I think when they're those are some of the rumors out there being talked about. I think this kid's impressing a lot of people in St. Louis, around the league, that is showing them that he's going to be here for a long time.
You brought that up, which was a good point about handing out long term extensions. And obviously, big league clubs want to get ahead of the payday down the road, right? If you have that much confidence in him, let's lock him up now. Emerson Colt, I just learned about him the other day, but he signed a $95 million deal with the Mariners. He hasn't played
Without playing a single game at the big league level.
with.
I think it's crazy to what happens if the dude gets he's in AAA right now. What happens if tonight he goes out and God forbid, I hope that this doesn't happen, but you got to be thinking that worst case scenario, like he could have a major injury and not and never be able to fully come back from that and be the same player that he was that earned this long term extension. And like I don't understand why these teams. Yes, I understand why they want to get ahead of the curve and kind of save them some dollars on the back end if the kid kind of pans out to be the prospect that he's touted to be, but without ever seeing what he's capable of doing at the big league level during the you saw him perform in spring training, but spring training is not the same as the regular season at the major league level. Like so to be able to hand out $95 million over 8 years, like for a kid that doesn't even like I'm not taking away from the kid, like congratulations, like more power to you, like that's awesome. I'm happy for him. But like at the same time about that.
Oh, you're
If
good.
you want to make sure that he can do it at the major league level before just handing out that kind of money.
It is a gamble, right? Because it says I was looking at this stat yesterday, and it is the highest contract, $95 million for playing 0 days in the bigs. Jackson Churio got a deal like that with the Brewers. They did that, so that one hit, right? The
Right,
Brewers were like,
right.
"Hey, well," but it's a gamble. The other one was like Eloy Jimenez. Eloy Jimenez got a deal like that. Didn't pan out
That one didn't
to
really shake out like that.
right.
Like yeah, like the Churio one, like for sure. Like that dude's a stud. Like he's going to be a mainstay in that Brewers lineup for a long time coming. But yeah, like you like it's. I think it's a coin flip. Like you
Mhm.
never know like what's going to happen off the field. Like God forbid if a major injury happens on the field. Like you just never know. Like that's a big time risk before even seeing what those kind of guys are going to do at the major league level.
And that's why I am not a fan of hoarding prospects because they're unproven commodities, right? There's so many fans that are like, we can't let him go. He's a top 5 prospect. Just look at the numbers of the amount of guys that pan out that don't pan out. Far greater players don't pan out than the ones that actually do, right? That live up to the hype. So just, statistically, the chances of look at these number 1 draft picks, 1 through 5. Some of these guys, you're like, who the hell is this? Like, I have never heard of this guy. Never made it, right? Never made it, whether it's injury, whether it's whatever. So it's definitely a gamble. I wonder, like, what are the front offices looking at in order to be so confident to give him that or to give a player that contract, right? Because I mean, we didn't see it with like Paul Skeens, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball. We Connor Griffin is in, talks as like one of the top prospects with the Pirates. So some of the guys that like have the notable names like aren't getting those contracts. I just learned about this kid honestly, and I follow ball pretty closely. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? He's got this,
Yeah.
$100 million contract.
I saw like I played against so I was coach at the AAA level with the Padres last year. We played the AAA team for the Mariners. They had a really good squad. I think they ended up winning the whole thing, if I'm not mistaken, last year. And he was on the squad a little bit towards the end of the year. He's a great player. Swing the bat, plays good defense. He's fast. He can like. So I think like when a guy has all the tools um, and also, I think it's the agent. Like Skeens is going to bet on himself. He's not locking himself into a long term contract when he knows that like if he goes out there and does Paul Skeen things, his value is going to go up year in and year after year. So like he's not going to lock himself in to a long term deal when he's young because he's going to limit his value.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm not saying like that's why like this kid did it, but it's like it's hard to turn down $95 million
Right.
that's
Yeah.
guaranteed
Right.
before you even step foot on a big league field.
Hmm.
So like I think those front offices, I think they look at like all the tools that kids like that can bring to the table and how they seem to fit the organization moving forward in the future. So like obviously they think that he's going to be around for a long time in a Mariners uni, and they want to lock him in early on. So more power to Colt and whatnot. But I think it's price or not pricey. I think it's iffy and to give. give a kid that kind of deal before even playing a major league game.
Right. And like you said, players now, the whole thing is get to free agency. Get to free agency, get to free agency. Don't sign a long-term contract because I mean, look at Ronald Acuna Jr. His contract's 100 million. This kid
Yeah.
hasn't played a day in the bigs and he's making the same amount of
And he's
money.
making around the same, yeah. And Acuna, like, look at what Acuna's done for the game of baseball. Not like his stats and everything speaks for itself, but look at how a guy from Venezuela has helped to grow the game over there. Like, yes, Venezuela has been a popular baseball country for years and years, but when you have a once in a lifetime talent player like Acuna, look at what he's doing for the game of baseball. And Ozzy Albies is another one. He signed a
Mhm.
$35 million deal early on, and he's outperformed that contract. So like, you got to think that like maybe like we don't know the whole story. Like we don't know the behind the scenes of what's going on and whatnot. So like that's when it comes like tough to kind of speculate on whether these deals are worth it or not. But like to your point, like it's tough. Like that kid's making the same amount as one of the game's brightest superstars, and he hasn't even played a game in the big leagues yet.
Right. And
What do
maybe you could tell me it obviously depends on the club too, right? Because like the Brewers, historically they're more fiscally responsible or whatever, right? They ship out Corbin Burns, their ace. They ship out Freddie Peralta, their ace. Like they're down to play with young players and maybe lock up a young guy like Churio when they did and be like, hey, we like this kid. He's going to be, our premier outfielder. Let's lock him in now so we don't have to pay, top dollar later. So I guess it does have to go because not everybody can go to free agency and put their hat in the ring, right? And be like, hey, we're going to
right?
bid for this guy. No, you're not. The Dodgers are, the Yankees are, Phillies are, whoever. So I guess that's just part of the strategy when you're looking at the makeup of your team is let's roll the dice on this guy. We'll pay this up front. We're going to get him for close to a decade and go from there.
Yeah, and I think I think that's a great point that you mentioned. Like maybe it's a guy that they don't want to risk losing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's showing that kid, hey, like you're part of the Mariners' future for 8-9 years moving forward. Like so, like let's make this happen. Let's we're going to build the club around you, and we already got some great pieces, great young talent at the major league level. Like we want you to be a part of that. So like, yeah, like I think it does vary team to team, and how they put together their roster and how they figure out how to do these kind of deals.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to Colt Emerson, man. Good for him. Anytime you see a young kid get a payday, dude, without even stepping on the big league field, you did something right. You, your agent,
100%.
good for you.
Yep.
Um, all right, Matt, what else you got going on for the rest of the day before we get out of here? You got any events coming
Not
up or anything?
doing some Cardinal alumni events right around the stadium. I got one in a couple weeks, middle of April. Doing an appearance down at Busch Stadium. Possibly have another event at that rally house where that picture was from. Had a really good meeting with those guys and whatnot. Doing some local media spots. So yeah, doing busy in the
Commercials?
game. What's that?
Commercials?
I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love being on TV. I've reached out to got lunch with one of the Car Shield commercial people here in St. Louis on Friday. Going to give them some ideas. I think the commercials that company puts out, and look at the people that they got. They got Ric Flair, for God's sakes, doing
Yeah.
Car Shield commercials. So I'm a big time wrestling guy. So like I told him, I said I want to find a way to do a commercial with the Nature Boy in Big City. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be on the pitch sheet for Friday. But yeah, just doing some local media hits here in St. Louis now with baseball season kicking off, and got some things later on in the summer where possibly doing some stuff with the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association, some events there. So yeah, staying involved in the game this year. I want to keep having an impact, keep wanting to like grow the game of baseball, and keep wanting to let everybody know that this is the greatest sport out there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great way to do it, is just get on camera and talk about baseball, right? And put it on the internet, and people are like, hell yeah, fuck with Big City, baby.
Yeah,
Matt,
yeah. No,
how are
I
you,
love.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
how are your acting chops? Like if you had to, if you're talking about these commercials, your acting chops. I don't know if you've seen it, but Marcelo Meyer, second baseman for the Red Sox, he was doing a commercial, and objectively, it was bad. He was like,
Really?
he was looking over. He's supposed to be talking to this guy, and this guy's like right next to him, and he's looking up here at the cue cards. He was like, "Oh, well, we should do this insurance,
Oh
whatever." It was like
no,
not
no,
good. It was like
no,
comically
no.
bad.
Yes, no, I've done like a little a few in my heyday. Nothing major commercial wise, but I feel like I'm very confident on the camera. I like being on camera, especially if it's for baseball stuff. I think that comes very natural to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what potential opportunities could come of Big City being on camera a little bit more this year.
Yeah, big city's open for business, guys. Reach out to him. Matt, there was a bar, there's a bar in Chicago. I don't know if it's still there, but like right outside of Wrigleyville, and it was called Big City Tap.
Yep.
And it was open till 3 a.m. So everyone called it Big Shitty because you would go there at like till like 3 a.m. So it was like, yo, we going to Big Shitty tonight? And it's like, yeah, because it's open till 3. So
That's awesome.
everyone there was shit faced, but yeah, it was Big City Tap, and we all called it Big Shitty.
I
So
love it.
there might be an
Love it.
opportunity to do.
I know, right? Got to reach out to them for
Yeah,
sure. My wife from Chicago, so we're in Chicago quite a bit during especially during the off season. So yeah, definitely. Now that I'm going to be home during baseball season a little bit more this year, maybe make my way up to Big City Tap and do an appearance.
yeah, absolutely. All right, Matt, stick around. I'm gonna get us out of here, and then we'll catch you soon, dude. We'll do this again,
Sounds good.
guys. Thanks for watching another episode of Chef's Kiss. We'll catch you next time.